Hello and welcome to BloombergQuint. You're watching the fine print. Area-based exemptions, supply chain efficiencies, change in rates, the benefit of set-off of input taxes, warehouse strategy, the goods and services tax regime, which is now just 33 days away, will impact India's manufacturing sector in more ways than one. To understand the impact of all of these, I have with me today on the GST countdown, Thiagarajan, Joint Managing Director at Blue Star. So welcome to the show. Sir, Blue Star is a manufacturer, contractor and also after-sales service provider. At a very broad level, could you help me understand how will GST impact these various verticals?
Overall, I think it is going to benefit us. It will impact in different ways these different segments. To begin with, the manufacturing. So one big decision which is pending at our end is whether to go ahead with Jammu project, where we are to invest close to 125 crores. The decision to go to Jammu was based on the SENVAT exemption which we were to get, but at this point of a time the clarity is not there. Right. So as you know, SENVAT gets replaced with CGST, right, and 11 hilly states are supposed to get the benefit, but the central government's position is 52% of that CGST is retained by center, which anyway they are ready to give. 48% of that goes to the state government. Therefore, the state government is supposed to take a decision. So, in that context, manufacturing facility in Jammu, whether it will happen, will not happen at this point of a time is a question mark.
Sure.
Which in turn is going to impact the Sri City project, which was set up not for any SENVAT related concession, but it is to do with the supply chain logistics related, like Sri City can serve Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu and Kerala overnight. The Kaveripatnam or Ennur port is close by. It has got different benefits there. So the fallout of all this is my whole manufacturing footprint will change, and there are enough evidence and calculations available to say that more and more of manufacturing is profitable in Blue Star context. Like we source certain products which we are not having scale, like for example curved glass top deep freezers, for example, we import from China and trade. In GST context, it may be worthwhile for us to manufacture. So domestic value addition can go up. In air conditioning refrigeration category, unfortunately, it has fallen under 28% GST, and it is higher than the current weighted average rate of 26.5.
Okay.
So therefore, how you will ensure your prices are not going up despite this increase, which means ensuring your supply chain efficiency is there, you are able to improve your costs in order that you maintain the profitability without increasing the price. That will be
sure.
one of the actions that will.
But on one side, you're also going to get the benefit of set off for your input taxes, and on the other hand, like you mentioned, that the rates have gone up to 28%. Net, what will be the impact on costs?
I think if you, the very fact that the rate has become 28 in air conditioning refrigeration, the cost will go up, because I do not think that we procured any items from any unregistered vendor,
okay.
say.
Right.
The probability is the average price realization. Earlier in a MRP based excise system, there was a MRP, right. There was a abatement, you paid the send VAT on that. Though your average price realization would have been lower. The good news in GST is the selling price attracts the GST. So therefore, your incidence of that may be lower. So I think it will be a neutral kind of a thing eventually. In between you will have something.
Okay.
So to that extent, we should compliment the government to have gone ahead with this formula, that I will fit it in the nearest kind of a thing.
Sure.
Though I am particularly unhappy about their not conceding one long pending demand of the industry, and I have been talking about this, where the inverter air conditioners or the 5-star air conditioners should have been placed at 12. Because it saves more than 35% energy, which will be cash neutral for the government, because you need not invest in power plants or the distribution costs.
Right.
And China or Japan grew the inverter market by going ahead with this kind of a incentivization program.
Right.
Government had an opportunity to do so, which they have not done, which is unfortunate. The second demand of mine is, see, any coffee shop is air conditioned, cinema theatre is air conditioned, a bar will be air conditioned, but schools and hospitals are not air conditioned in a big way. The penetration is very poor, and the government had an opportunity to say that if it is educational institutions or it is hospitals, they will fall under 12%, because in GST you can administer that way, because it is based on registration.
Right.
Otherwise, I think they have done a great job of fitting the rates.
I want to talk to you about the transition period. Give me your thoughts on what are you doing with your existing stock. Are you destocking? That is one. And also, how prepared are you technology wise to move to GST?
According to me, this is a very tactical issue, or it is not an issue which is bothering us anymore. There is a pain involved, but it is not a big thing to worry about, in the sense, it is happening post peak season. If it would have happened on 31st of March, it would have been a big problem. You are preparing for a season, how to hold the inventory or plan the inventory. At this point of a time, it is end of the season, migration takes place. We are still assuming it is 1st of July. Right. There are many rumors floating around, it will be 1st of August or something like that. It hardly matters. The next part is to do with the formula that is being adopted for the stock lying with the dealers.
Right.
So this 40% of the CGST will be, I think it is going to be reviewed on June 3rd. So hopefully something will happen. We have proactively had converted our warehouses to excisable warehouses.
Okay.
So therefore, the billing.
When was this done?
It was done in the month of March itself.
Okay.
In February we planned,
right,
and we went ahead and did the warehouses as excisable ones, so that in the invoice excise duty will be there.
Right.
So the dealer will be able to get the credit.
Right.
That is the second migration, or the somewhat the pain will come down. The third part of it is to do with the, you can always take back the goods on 1st of July, rebill it. The government doesn't prevent you from doing so. Indeed, you can do so. And finally, the question is that some margin is eroded. It doesn't matter in this big reform. Something has to be passed on to the dealers or consumers.
Sure. Talk to me, sir, a little bit about your registration process. Was it smooth? And also technology and your systems wise, how much of a change will you have to undergo to come on to the GSTN?
It is very smooth. Government exceeded our expectations in that respect.
Oh, that's good to hear.
No doubt about it at all. Then the dealers, we have been helping them to migrate. Business associate partners, we have been helping them to migrate. The thing is that the big corporates can afford the big five, big four guys,
Right.
whether it is KPMG or E&Y or Deloitte and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Small guys depend on the chartered accountants are there, or they call them as auditors.
Right.
So there is a need to impart and reach out to them to understand the implications.
The one point, since you mentioned turnkey projects, is works contract, right? You as a company would undertake several works contract, the rate of which has now come to 12% from what existing 15%. How do you see the impact there?
There are two. One is if it is a civil immovable properties, it falls under 12.
Right.
So it is affecting only the builders. So the builder has to charge 12%, and the input credit overflow will not be available to him. Suppose he is buying an electrical item, or there is a plumbing item, he will end up paying me 18%, and his outflow will be restricted only to 12%. So that overflow 6% has to be absorbed by him. That is to do with civil buildings, immovable properties. But in the air conditioning plant and equipment, it is 18%. So it is there the overflow is allowed. I may buy a chiller at 28%, or I may buy a air handling unit which is part of the system by paying 28%, but I will charge the customer 18%, but the overflow I can still avail.
Okay.
So therefore, under works contract, there could be benefit.
Okay. Okay. Let me come to the supply efficiencies that you briefly alluded to. Today, I'm told that about, by one estimate, 60% of the time goes on state borders due to the transit time. How do you think that will change once GST kicks in? And again, what will it convert into for a company like yours?
See, in the warehousing footprint, you will definitely save, because it is not necessary in every state you have a warehouse and to do that.
Have you started work on it so far?
Yeah, we are already migrating there. That is not a problem.
Can you sort of elaborate on some of the changes that Blue Star is making?
Like in Tamil Nadu, we might have had, Tamil Nadu is a bigger state, you need to have. In Pondicherry, we would have had a warehouse. It is no longer necessary for you to have a Pondicherry warehouse, right? Because even though it is a different state, you can build there. The national capital region, Noida will be different, and Gurgaon will be different, Delhi will be different. This whole thing of having in different states, or Northeast opening so many warehouses, that part disappears. So it is probable that you can do with very minimum number of warehouses. So that way I have no problem. But the e-permit and moving the goods, it is going to have serious problem. And the dealers, what they do is that they take stock of the month sales. They plan for the next month. They decide on 30th of the month how much more material they need for next month. So the month end SKU is a very common thing in most of the companies. Okay?
Right.
There will be a month end SKU. Maximum billing, maximum collection takes place on 27, 28, 29, 30th.
Right.
Similarly, quarter end SKU. Whenever it is a quarter ending month, June or September or December, March, there will be peaks that will be taking place. And year end SKU. So this point of a time, what is going to happen with that e-permit and that huge chaos, even if you are moving from one location to the other location, you are supposed to be having that e-permit.
Right.
Till we get used, I think there will be some issues, but according to me, all these solutions will be found. I don't think these are rocket sciences for people to figure out a solution.
Okay. One last question that I have for you, Mr. Thiagarajan, is we have the rates now with us for most of the goods and services. The minister, the GST council is going to meet on 3rd of June, and hopefully we will have the final rules also cleared. Tell me the areas of concern that you would like to be resolved at the earliest.
For sure, the transition stock, that is some assurance people will need, because it's the first time it is happening. So specifically, I think FMCG pharma are much more. The trade will need that particular clarity. And other than that, I think they have done it very, very efficiently. So there is no doubt about it. The next part of it is the consideration. It is on a self-declaration basis. In the initial stage, there will be some doubts here and there that how do I go ahead and treat a particular contract. Say for example, let us say there is a huge office like this, where there will be air conditioning system running like this, but there will be also air conditioners which are part of it, correct? Now, if I do a works contract in this particular building, it will be at 18%. If I buy air conditioner and install like your house or my house, it is 28%.
Right.
Okay, there will be gray areas like this. In this office, the air conditioner also there which went in. Some other day, 2 years later, some sales tax authority will open up, and so the corporates will have a doubt this. And if you ask any advisory firm, they will tell you play it safe. Now these are something which always keeps happening, but the question is that the assurance that we won't be doing this kind of things, because it is a big transition.
Right.
But on the whole, it has exceeded the expectations.
All right.
Thank you.
Possible increase in air conditioned prices, change in manufacturing strategy and warehouse strategy. That's the word coming in from Mr. Thiagarajan of Blue Star. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, sir, for joining us on the show.
Thank you.